Welcome to Amateur Redneck Workshop. I'm Harold, the world's greatest redneck, and we're going to do a kind of a clone of somebody else's video today, just because, you know, he's one of my heroes there. I saw this old Tony cutting threads using a tap, and you say, well, what the heck's so good about that? Everybody cuts threads with a tap. But he was using it as a lathe tool. In his tool holder, the tap wasn't turning, the piece was turning, and he fed the tap through it. And I was just, you know, sort of flumbergasted there about that, and I saw it and I thought, well, I'm going to copy him and I'm going to do it myself. So here, this is, I guess you could say this is the plagiarized video. And anyway, that's why I'm calling it This New Tony. And it wasn't my idea, and I'm not actually a Tony, but you know, we're going that way. Now, I hope that some of you guys have noticed that we're having these discussions every Sunday, and they're a lot of fun because I've had, you know, Tom Lipton and Chuck Bomarito and Randy Richard and Stan Sinkowski and Steve Lang and Yuchol Kim and Brad the Shop Guy and on and on and on, you know, lots of other guys. Bruno from Engineered 3D and Dave from the Our Cave and so on. No, not Dave, Dean. I'm sorry. That's why I try not to put a bunch of names into stuff, because I mess them up. But anyway, we're going to do the same kind of threading that this old Tony did. I was even lucky enough to find myself a round piece of brass with a hole in it. And so I think what we'll do is we'll adjourn over to the lathe. If you guys want to show up for the discussion, you know, and make comments, and it was started out as an audience participation thing in the hope that people would come there and I'd give them a link and they could go live and show us what they were working on. But it's kind of come down to more a bunch of creators that are fun to listen to, getting up there and shooting the bull, which I enjoy that too, you know. Anyway, let's get on over the lathe and get on with this. I've never had my camera in this position before, so I hope I hope it works out. Well, first thing I got to do is to get this thing situated correctly, and so it's going to be a little bit of a strange adjustment because I'm going to be working from angles that I don't normally work from. Alright, so I've got a tap in a boring bar holder, and I believe I read 24 threads per inch on it, which ought to be enough. And I'm going to see if it will, well, I guess I should set it to feed 24 threads per inch, just to ensure success, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've got to set the gearbox over here. 1, 2, 3, 4 over, and on B. Alright. There. That should be about right. Now I think that it's just going to touch as it goes in, but I don't really know. So we'll just have to see what happens, alright? I'm going to pull it back just a little bit, start the threading just to see what it does. I don't really remember whether he had it set for any particular feed or not, but I do. Yeah, that'll feed in there about right. Let's see what we get. Well, that wasn't close enough, was it? Maybe another 5 thousandths closer. Let's see where we go from there. we're going to click, click, click there. I'm not sure what that means, but we'll back it up some, roll it out. We'll pull her in, who's on 90, we'll bring it in another 5 thousandths. That'll be on 85. We'll see what we get there. If I didn't misunderstand what he was doing. Ah, I see what I did wrong. I know what the ticking was. It was the inside of the chuck. It ate my tap. I didn't even cut any threads. Dang it. I guess Tony's got a bigger chuck. But mine went through and touched the back side of the chuck. I'm sure Chuck wouldn't appreciate that. So, let me regroup, figure out what to do next. Okay, I got another bottom tap, same thread. Well, I got another tap. The other one wasn't a bottom tap. But I'm going to take this one and I'm going to feed him in there by hand and see how that works out. That didn't touch it, so now I've got to start all over again trying to make it touch the thing. Okay. I'm close. Well, I don't know. I don't think we're touching it. I don't think that touched it either. Certainly not cutting any threads. Miss old Tony must have done a lot better than me, obviously. Right again. It's not as easy as it looks. It looked like it'd be a snap, but it's not. Alright, let's give her another shot. You can see it's starting to cut some threads now. Alright folks, there's some threads. I'll get a little that soft cloth stuff and see if I can't clean the threads up a little bit. Scotch-Brite. Well, there you are, Mr. Viewer, or Mrs. Viewer, threaded with a tap instead of a instead of single pointing it. I think I'd rather single pointed the thing, but that's one way to get a thread inside of a large diameter with a tap when you don't have that big a tap. Sometimes when you're plagiarizing one of your heroes, it just doesn't work out right, does it? Oh well. We'll talk about the weather. Alright, now this isn't the tap that I broke. This is one that I've inherited. I don't know how it was broke or where from, but I was looking at it and I thought, well, it's got good threads on, what's left of it, and I could have used this, just as well as using a whole one. I was saving this for a little experiment that if I ever get a collet to hold it, I'll work on. So at least we saw that we could do sort of like this old Tony. Although his tap, he welded it into a square bar and had her latched down good and tight in his tool holder. So I'm sure it didn't move any, and he probably was better at getting it right straight on with the material as well. Well, it's no secret that it's been kind of cold in Texas lately, and I'm sure you guys want to know, how did I do? Well, I had power most all the time. There was one night the power went off, and it was off all night long, and I stayed up most of that night trying to make sure the pipes didn't freeze. And I did have one pipe that goes up behind the sink, the cold water line. It froze, and I had to go outside and pull all the insulation off the hose bib. Just tease into that and take a propane torch and heat the hose bib until the water thawed out a little bit. And then we had heat all the day the next day until sometime in the afternoon. It went off until about 8 p.m. We come in, and Daisy's kind of a sensitive dog, and she's used to having a night light on and stuff like that. And when we came back and it was dark, I went up the stairs to the upstairs restrooms where I was headed. And when I got to the top of the stairs, I stepped on something kind of crunchy, and I thought, well, Daisy spilled dog food out here. So the wife was on her little stair lift. It runs on batteries, and she was coming up behind me with a flashlight, and she said, "Oh my gosh." And I said, "What?" She says, "Daisy's puked all over the place here." Well, every time Daisy gets upset, she throws up. And so apparently it was dark and it was cold, and we were gone, and she figured she was going to, die in the dark and the cold. So she got upset and puked on the stairs. Just a little job for me to clean up. Like I say, she's a sensitive dog. But anyway, we have one of these epic freezes about every 10 or 15 years. And, and it did snow at my house, but it wasn't enough snow to actually cover all the grass in my yard. And once you got out toward the sidewalk, the grass was all poking through and green looking. And the snow lasted most of the day, I guess probably up until 1 or 2 p.m. And there was still stuff on the roof, for 3 or 4 days. And we got down at my house, I think we got down about 16 or 17 degrees. And I had one water pipe going to the upstairs bathroom that was cold, and I just let water run. I flipped it back and forth between hot and cold water, and it thawed out and started running. And we've got those PEX pipes in the house, and they can take a little bit of freezing because they're plastic. They don't break like metal pipes. So I guess that's one good thing. But as far as for suffering from the cold, we didn't suffer none. We went to bed, put blankets on, and got up early in the morning. So everything works out all right. Let's go and see what Boudreaux or Bubba or Ole or somebody's up to. Boudreaux and Thibodeau decided to go into the ranching business, and so to get things rolling, they figured they needed a good bull. So Boudreaux got this Cadillac, and he drove over to Texas. And he had in his pocket a check for $10,000 to buy that bull. So he's driving down the road there and he sees a sign, bull for sale, $9,999. So he whipped into the driveway, went down to the ranch house there, looked the bull over and said, well, that'll do, it's a good looking bull. He hands the check to the rancher. The rancher hands him the dollars and change. The rancher says, well, he says, Mr. Boudreaux, he says, now that you bought this bull, how are you going to get him back to Louisiana? Boudreaux says, well, I'll have to call my buddy Thibodeau and tell him to come get him. The rancher says, well, he said, I haven't got any phone. He says, you'll have to go to the telegraph office to do that. So they take off down the telegraph office there, and Boudreaux asks the telegrapher there, the guy running that place, how much it cost to send a message to Thibodeau. He said it cost you $1 work. So Boudreaux stands there and thinks a minute, and he said, all right, send this work comfortable. Rancher looks at Boudreaux and says, well, just how is he going to know that you bought a bull from that one word? And Boudreaux says, well, he says, Thibodeau, now he's my good buddy. He said, but he ain't too bright. He says, he's going to sound that word out one syllable at a time. And he's going to come up with come for to bull. Come for the bull, huh? Well, that's all, folks. Y'all try to subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Leave a comment if you got something to say. And above all, remember, keep on keeping on. Bye now.